Welcome to the Math Map Week 20 Solid Shapes. There is so much fun for you this week. We have 4 new grammar songs for you and 2 amazing hands-on manipulatives to show you that made learning about solid shapes so much fun. First, the cover. The geometric shapes in this art are quite pleasant. But I couldn't help but remember what we learned about the Aztecs in our history sentence from Cycle 1, Week 17, which was not so pleasant. So you can stick to naming and attending to the shapes in the art, but be prepared that the conversation could take an unpleasant turn, especially if you're currently in Cycle 1. If this happens, you can prepare to discuss the sanctity of life and how God values every human life. But sadly, when people turn away from the one true God, it leads to death and destruction. But if you're with littles, there are lots of shapes to identify. The essay lists the shapes that you can find in the art if you want to utilize that. So for us on our first tour, we were able to stick to the surface area of the art. See what I did there? Also, from the essay, we read that God created all shapes, and each shape has a purpose. So that led to my conversation starter questions for this week. What is your favorite shape? What is its purpose? My eldest answered a heart because it represents love. My youngest said her favorite shape is a star because they shine. It was so precious and sweet. So this week we are going to learn and see and attend to many shapes. Specifically, we're going to learn about a shape called a polyhedron. I got myself a set of polyhedral dice, but my kids really enjoyed these large foam polyhedral dice, and they were great to hold as we attended to most of the new grammar for this week. That was thunder. I'll put a link to these in the description box below. So, what is a polyhedron? That's our first new grammar. What is a polyhedron? A polyhedron is a space bounded by polygonal faces that form an enclosed solid. The plural form of polyhedron is polyhedra. So we sung this definition to the tune of "You Are My Sunshine." Are you ready to hear it? What is a polyhedron? A polyhedron is a space bounded by polygonal faces that form an enclosed solid. The plural form of polyhedron is polyhedra. There are many parts to a polyhedron which are well worth attending to and memorizing. So our second new grammar is, what are some parts of polyhedra? There is a diagram on page I2 and on chart page C21 that we pointed to as we sang our song. So I'll sing this as I point to the parts on the diagram. This is to the tune Itsy Bitsy Spider. So what are some parts of a polyhedra? What are some parts of polyhedra? Face, edge, vertex, and diagonal. Polyhedral angle, dihedral angle. Base, height, some parts of polyhedra. On chart page 21, you also see the terms surface area and volume listed and defined. So our next set of new grammar is surface area and volume. What is surface area? Surface area is the sum of the areas of all the faces, which means you add up all the areas. What is surface area? To the tune of Shoo Fly Don't Bother Me. Surface area is the sum of the areas of all the faces. Add up all the areas. What is volume? Volume is a measure of the space contained within the solid. Volume's what's inside. What is volume? To the tune of row, row, row your boat. Volume is a measure of the space contained within the solid. Volume's what's inside. Whew! Those are our songs for this week. But we're not done with new grammar. Hang in there. Things are about to get really fun. Throughout this week, you are introduced to some Greek words. The root word hedron means face. The prefix poly means many. So a polyhedron is a face with many faces. A shape with many faces. So the prefixes specify the number of faces in a polyhedron. We chanted these prefixes and held up our hands to show how many faces are in each. Tetra, Hexa, Octa, Dodeca, Icosa. And so that was supposed to be 20. I think that's right in the video. Yeah. So we got Tetra, Hexa, Octa, Dodeca, Icosa. Now we turn our attention to non-polyhedra. What are some non-polyhedra shapes? Cylinder, cone, frustum, sphere, ellipsoid. So for these shapes, we went on a shape hunt around our house. We have a Melissa and Doug scavenger hunt game that has these bags, and the kids loved turning it into a shape hunt. We gathered cylinders, paper towel tubes, dice, building blocks of all shapes, bouncy balls, our pencil sharpener. Look at this beautiful frustum. And then my youngest pulled out the mag formers. Oh my word. We spent the rest of our math time identifying shapes using mag formers. First in 2D, and then we connected them and formed 3D shapes. Y'all, this was amazing to see how they identified 2D shapes such as squares and triangles, and then when connected together, turned into 3D shapes with names such as cube and tetrahedron. It was so much fun. This was the hands-on activity that won this week because we were able to really identify and grasp the difference between surface area and volume. We held and pointed to the faces of the shape. Then we were able to peek inside and see the volume of a shape. So much fun. For the calculations page, we can attend to the Greek terms. We see the names of shapes, both polyhedra and non-polyhedra. And at the bottom, we calculate surface area. We revisited a mathematical concept we learned in week 5, that multiplication is repeated addition when calculating surface area. It was so evident. It was wonderful. Our gospel connection is Galatians 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Just like a polyhedron has many faces that are connected by edges and vertices, we see the fruit of the Spirit produces many faces of evidence of the Holy Spirit in our lives. When the Holy Spirit fills us up inside, fills the volume of our hearts, we see fruit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Although many faces of the fruit exist, we can see that when these fruit are added up in the areas of our lives, it produces a harvest of righteousness because of Jesus Christ. And that wraps us up for week 20. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please subscribe and share. Thank you for watching and have fun learning.